Alistair, and Eleanor.
Well, she said that would get your attention, and I guess it worked. See, the problem here is I'm trying to find him a wife on his sister's request, and as you can see, there are some challenges. But I have his attention now, and mayhaps the food will help. So good, my lords and ladies, this is Cakes and Ale, and it is a 9-week show in which each week we do provide you with different recipes of our goodly time 1536. However, before we do that, we do wish to tell you a little bit about what we eat and what we drink, and why we eat it and why we drink it.
And when we eat and drink.
Indeed. And so it is important to understand and follow the rules. So, the very first thing that controls what we eat and what we drink is, of course, money.
Your station.
Aye. For if you are poor, or a peasant, or even somebody who just works in a shop in the village, you are not going to eat as well as if you are noble, or royal, or even a wealthy merchant. I mean, that just makes sense, aye? So if you are a peasant, you are likely going to have 2 meals a day, maybe 3.
Never a 4th meal.
And no 11sies. So the very first meal of the day is likely going to be pottage. Pottage is what is left over in the pot from the night before.
Oh, but do not turn your nose up at that. For sometimes, things that are from the day before are even better the second day, like meatloaf.
Like what?
Meatloaf.
What is a meatloaf?
Exactly what it sounds like. It'd be a loaf of meat.
All right, ladies, he's very wealthy because he can afford a loaf of meat. I'm a peasant, have a hard time affording a loaf of bread. Selling point. I gotta work with what I got. So, now the pottage does continue to be added to. You may have heard the nursery rhyme. Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot, 9 days old.
Even meatloaf is not good after 4 days.
And honestly, you should throw everything out before the Sabbath. You're keeping it 9 days.
Heathens.
Indeed. So, what goes in pottage? Well, it starts out with some kind of grain. Going to be oats or barley, and then you're going to put in vegetables. Because vegetables are not expensive, you can grow them. You are going to not have very much meat. If you have meat in your pottage, it has likely been given to you by a wealthy noble. Sometimes they will throw off the things that they do not like themselves.
Oh, like oxtail.
Aye. Nobles do not like oxtail because, well, you know where the tail is. Where?
Do not tell them it is delicious.
The tenderest meat you will ever have.
They'll want to keep it for themselves.
Aye. But mostly you're going to have vegetables. If you have chickens, you're not going to put chicken into the pottage. Why? You can only eat a chicken
Once.
You can eat eggs over and over again. So the only time you're going to have chicken is when that chicken stops laying eggs or the rooster stops doing the chicken. So you're never going to have capon, which is young chicken. That's what the wealthy and the nobles have. That's why it's so special, because they can afford to kill chickens when they're young. You're not getting them until they're old and grizzled. Aye, it is the way that it be. But so you're not going to have a lot of meat. But the other thing that you might have is mushrooms.
Oh, yes.
Peasants love mushrooms. Do you know why? They are free. As a matter of fact, with the rain we've had, you've probably walked over some right here in Rebel Grove.
Oh, but do not have the mushrooms from over there.
Never. Nay, I understand you were mushroom hunting with Reginald Waldegrave.
Yes, my good friend Reginald, I call him Reggie.
Me too.
He and I were out hunting mushrooms, and as we were foraging, he saw some mushrooms thither. Now, he said they were delicious. He ate them all.
Sounds like Reggie.
As he was finishing them up, I went there in too, and I found some wondrous mushrooms. Oh, they were delicious, but then I saw purple dragons for 3 days.
Do not eat the mushrooms from over there. While delicious, it will be your last meal. Because remember, all mushrooms are edible.
Some only once.
I mean, you have to wonder, who is Somebody has to go out and figure this out, right? You go out and mushroom forage in order to find out, oh, this one's delicious. That one made me see purple dragons, and that one killed Alfred. Right? So here is the key to mushroom hunting in the wild.
Very important.
You take the tiniest bit of mushroom, you put it in your mouth. If it is even the slightest bit bitter, you spit it out. You grab the strongest alcoholic drink you can find. You swish it around in your mouth.
And you spit it out! Cecily, you're supposed to spit, not swallow.
That was not actually a poisonous mushroom, and this is actually really expensive alcohol. And that would be alcohol abuse. You understand? Aye. So that is the key to mushroom hunting. Now, if you are fortunate to say work in a shop in the village or go out to the fields to work, you might get a second meal. This is often something called a pasty.
Ah, pasty.
Nay, a pasty.
Pasty.
A pasty and a pasty are two very different things, Master Connor.
Well, what is the difference?
A pasty is a delicious food. A pasty is something you'll see at the 7:30 show at the Dragon Inn.
Good sir. Mayhaps you and I can get pasties and go see the pasties at 7:30 at the Dragon. Yes.
My lady, perhaps you and I can go to one of the wondrous jewelers in this village and do some shopping, because if he's seeing pasties, you're getting jewelry. Important safety tip, gentlemen. So what a pasty is you take a round piece of dough and then you put in a filling, and then you do fold it over and you do crimp it. Now, even the wealthy like pasties, but they will put in rich meats.
Oh, and foreign cheeses.
Aye. If you're a peasant, you're probably putting in vegetables and
Mushrooms.
aye. And
They
then
learn quickly.
They are. The crimp it over, and the great thing is it's very versatile. You can boil it, you can fry it, you can bake it, and then you can put it right in your pouch and take it with you wherever you're going.
Every culture, it seems, has these. They call them different things.
Aye. For example, in the far-off lands in the Orient, they will call them shumai.
Oh, in the Hussar, the Poles would call it pierogis.
Right. In España, they call them empanadas.
You know, they even have them in the New World.
What?
Yes, they're called hot pockets.
That doesn't even sound appetizing. So, but that would be a second meal. But then you would come home after a long day of work, and you know what you would have for your last meal of the day? More porridge! Now, that is very different than if you are wealthy. If you are wealthy, you are going to have 3 meals a day. If you are noble and royal, that first meal is probably going to be 2 courses with at least a few dishes each. It's going to be meats and cheeses and fruits and breads. Now, your midday meal is called dinner, and your evening meal is called supper. If you are noble or wealthy, those meals could be anywhere from 3 to 5 courses, 5 to 7 dishes each. For those of you not good with the math and who can't count to 20 without taking off your shoes, that's up to 35 dishes. Woo! Do not fill up on the bread.
Maybe.
Well, maybe. Because you see, the way that you serve it to nobility and royalty and the wealthy is you start out with the highest ranking people in the center, and then it goes down from there. So when I worked for the mayor as his cook, it would be the mayor and the baroness in the middle.
Because he is ranked.
Very, very high rank. And then you go down. But with His Majesty and Queen Jane here, they would sit in the center. And then the Duke of Norfolk on one side and the Duke of Suffolk on the other. And then the marchionesses and marquesses and countesses and viscountesses and barons and knights. And if you're down to being one of those poor little mistresses like the Bassett sisters,
You might want to fill up on the bread.
because things get passed down and all you get is what's left by the time it gets to you.
Maybe the marrow of the bone.
Aye. But you still do get to eat that goodly food. And so the amount of money you make, your station in life, is very important in what you eat. Now, the second thing that controls